Hey folks, and welcome to this 2-minute quick tutorial in Adobe Premiere Pro. In this tutorial we're going to look at creating a sequence but not using the sequence settings here. It can be the case that when you open some of these there's a bewildering amount of different settings you can put in your sequence. And if you're trying to set up a sequence, should it be 1080p, 25, should it be 30? I'm shooting on SLR, but should it be 25, 30? I had my camera set on 720. There can be an absolutely bewildering array of different choices you've got here, but there is a more simple way around it. I'm not saying it's the ideal route to take. It may be the case you actually want to be a little bit more careful and do your settings here, but if you want to do something a little quicker, you can go to Cancel, and you can actually have an empty timeline, as we see here, no sequence, and up here I've got some footage. Now we've got 4 different types of footage, so let's quickly run through them. I've got some 1920 by 1080 footage here that was shot on 25 interlaced. 1920 by 1080 footage again here. This was shot at 24 frames a second. And here I've got some 50 frames a second footage. And I've also got some old standard def footage shot at 25 frames a second. Now, if I want to make sure that this timeline here, or the sequence I'm going to put in the timeline, matches this footage, I can do a simple drag and drop like so. And what you'll notice is that this footage here now, 1024 by 576, 25 frames a second, matches my sequence settings like so. So my timeline is now perfectly matched up to my clip. You've got to be careful though. If you now drag in, let's take something that's 1920 by 1080, if you now drag it into the timeline, of course, it's actually scaled quite a bit in. It doesn't quite fit. The aspect ratio is completely out. So it only really works, obviously, for a piece of footage that you've brought in, and it'll only match the settings of that footage. And in new footage, of course, we'll need some adjustment, some rescaling, or some cropping or matting as appropriate. Now, if you actually want to change the timeline to match another piece of footage, you can delete the footage that's here. And you can go to a newer piece like so. Let's go to this one here. This is 1920 by 1080. I can drag that, pull it into the timeline, and as you'll see, a little warning comes up. The warning is telling us that the actual timeline is based on this clip here. So we've got a mismatch now here and here on the sequence settings. So if that's the case, just make sure you click Change Sequence Settings here, and the sequence will now match the footage. Okay folks, hope you found that useful. See you in the next one.